Welcome along to the Olympic Stadium in Sydney. As you can see behind me, the Lions have just been training. A couple of them are just finishing off. You can see Marcus Smith and Finn Russell having a chat down there. But tomorrow, the third test, the Wallabies against the Lions, it all wraps up here in Sydney. Now, the series might be done, but it feels to me like there is a lot on the line for this game, for both teams. History for the Lions, and the Wallabies looking to salvage something from what has been a fairly disappointing couple of tests, certainly in terms of results and definitely performance in the first one as well. So welcome back to the channel. I'll look ahead to the game in this video. I've been speaking just down there maybe half an hour ago to John DL, the Lions assistant coach, so I'll play some of what he was saying about the match, about Finn Russell and about Blair Kinghorn, and we'll tee it up for the Wallabies. Are they capable of salvaging something from this match? Lots to get into. Drop a comment down below, like the video and subscribe to the channel. And before I go any further in this video, if you aren't English, you won't appreciate this, but you will forgive me for saying that down there, if you recognise it, England fans, 2003, Jonny Wilkinson, he drops for World Cup glory. It's the first thing that I thought of when I got into this stadium, but that was where Jonny Wilkinson, off his right peg, sent over the drop goal in extra time. And it's an awesome stadium, this actually. I don't know if it'll quite come across on the camera. I know it'll look fairly big, but it's way bigger than it feels like outside when you're walking up to it. 82,000, it's a sellout as well tomorrow, so hopefully we're going to get an absolute cracker of a game. Still a bit of a shame that it's not a series decider, but we are where we are. We were treated at the MCG, and actually for the Sydney Olympics, both that end over there, so behind the posts, it was a lot bigger than it currently is at the moment. So both stands were high. You'll probably see it there. They've shrunk it a bit down. If you look at photos or videos from the Sydney Olympics in 2000, yeah, it was a lot higher behind the post, but they've extended out to where the track is. But an awesome ground. What sort of game are we going to get? As I said previously in the intro, I feel like this is a massive match for both teams, despite the series being done. And it's always a danger when it's 2-0 after 2 games that the series is dead. There's nothing that interesting about it. And I don't know if it's because I'm out here, but I just don't feel like that for this match. The Lions are aiming for 3-0. The first Lions team to sweep an opponent since 1927. I mean, literally historic, virtually a century since that has been done. And speaking to the players this week, speaking to the coaches, that is so clearly a massive part of their motivation, so important to them, that's what they're gunning for. I think that's why Andy Farrell has named the team So Strong, which I spoke about in the team news reaction video that's up on the channel from yesterday. You can go and check it out if you haven't seen it already. But the flip side of that is for the Australians. That yes, the series is gone, but you don't want to end up being the team that gets swept at home. You don't want to be labelled, and they I think would be labelled, whether it is cruel and unfair or whether it would be just reality and true, as the worst opponents the Lions have ever faced, certainly in the professional era, if they were to lose 3-0 at home. So that is what is on the line here. It's what's on the line, which for me makes it such an intriguing game. Now at the moment, yes, it is pretty grey and miserable overhead, currently dry. It's been chucking it down in Sydney over the last few days, and it is also due to chuck it down once again for the match on Saturday. We said the same thing for the MCG, and that didn't really materialise, so who knows, but it could be absolutely chucking it down, and I will be somewhere pitch side down there, probably getting soaked if that is the case. But history on the line for both these teams, and I think that's a brilliant thing for the series. I think personally it makes this game way more interesting. Do you agree, or series is done, Lions are up 2-0, do you not really feel all that interested in this match? Certainly being here, it still feels worthwhile, still feels worth tuning in for. And I said we would hear from the camps. We hear from John DL now. Always an interesting one, this, because the series is already decided of, you know, what the Lions are going to say. By the way, kind of update, Tommy Freeman didn't look like he trained today, but they said that his GPS basically just tweaked that he needs a rest, essentially. Wingers get through a lot of sprints and chasing kicks, and rather than go through the 20-minute run through or whatever they did here, they rested Tommy Freeman, but apparently he is still all good to go. But here is what John DL had to say to me on the match here at the Sydney Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, the job isn't done in any shape or form. We've got a really motivated group that have set their stall out. There's only one way that they want this to end, and that's the way that they set the tour up and what they talked around. To go unbeaten and to try and win 3-0, huge test against a really in-form Australia team as we've seen last week. So yeah, they want to finish this tour well.
Yeah, what would it mean to you as a group to whitewash the Wallabies and win this series 3-0?
Well, for us, it's the only way to end this now, isn't it? It's we don't want anything to derail it. We know it's going to be incredibly hard work. We know Australia showed that and proven it last week, and they're a good side, and they're going to be good again, and they're going to be motivated playing here. So We've just got to find that energy and go again and get the performance that we all want. And I think that's the key to it. There's still a performance in us. We've had 40 minutes in both of the tests. We want to give our supporters, we want to give everybody watching at home a full 80 minutes and show them what the Lions are about.
And Blair Kinghorn comes into the team, a guy you know pretty well. How impressed have you been with him, obviously having to arrive late because he was involved with the playoffs with Toulouse, and how has he bedded in and what does he bring to that starting 15?
Well, he brings a lot of quality, doesn't he? And it's probably the reason he was selected in the beginning. We hoped, obviously we had an injury the tail end of the season there that probably hampered him a little bit, and coming into the tour a little bit later, just a little bit behind the curveball, but he's just shown on tour like the improvements on him, and we've got him back at his best, and he comes in to play his part in the third test.
And just finally from me, Finn Russell, been brilliant on this tour. You would have seen firsthand his development. It seems like he's developed into a really all-round world-class 10.
Absolutely, isn't he? He's maturing every time, and a lot of players are like him, they get criticism for not being able to play into different styles. He's shown here, right? We're pulling four nations together, and he's came in, he's delivering a game plan, but he's also been himself, and that's why he was picked, and that's why he's world class. The moments that he has, not just driving the team around the park, but the moments that he can produce on his own, his ability to see space and put others into space, outstanding.
And I'll finish up by asking the question of what sort of game are we going to see, and who's going to win it? There's part of me when I look at the Wallabies team selection, particularly losing Rob Valentini, Dylan Peach coming in on the wing for the injured Harry Potter, it doesn't look as strong a team on paper to me as we saw at the MCG. It doesn't mean they're not going to win the game, but I just look at it and I feel like it's going to be a real battle for them. I thought they gave absolutely everything. They had close to a perfect 50 minutes in that second test, and they still ended up losing the game. Are they going to have... I guess it was the longevity, wasn't it? They faded massively. When they lost Valentini, or when he got taken off at half-time, when they had to take Will Skelton off on 47 minutes, they just didn't have the power. It didn't look like they had enough in them to come through the game. So are we going to see that again? Or Will Skelton, with 47 minutes in his legs, are you going to get 60, 65 out of him? How much of a difference could that be in terms of staying in the arm wrestle and staying in the power game? Lots of question marks for me over the Wallabies. I predicted them to win the first test, and that came up absolutely nonsense. I also kind of fancied them for the second because I thought we would see a reaction like we did, and they didn't quite hold on. And standing here now, I'm thinking maybe the Lions are going to win it. So actually maybe the money off the back of that, given that my predictions have been pretty poor, is to lump onto the Wallabies, that they will get the job done. But I just look at that team, on paper at least, and the game is not played on paper, I know all that, it doesn't look as strong a Wallabies team, I don't think, compared to what we saw last weekend. So I'm not sure how they win a game in this series, I suppose. From the Lions' point of view, still a super strong squad. The question, as I've said already, is whether there's any sort of drop-off because the series is already done and we're at the end of a long season. I wonder if they're about to blast out some music, in which case I might have to wrap this up, which I'm going to anyway. I still think the Lions will win. I think I've totally believed how motivated they are to wrap this thing up and win 3-0. I actually think it's really important for their legacy as a team. As unfair as it might be, I think if they win this series 2-1, people will say, we still lost a game to a Wallabies team that weren't that good. If they win it 3-0, they are in the history books. And I think that is why it means so much to them to not lose a game on Aussie soil and to win it 3-0. So let's see what happens. Give me your predictions in the comments. I think the Lions are going to do it, but you never know. We saw exactly what sort of team Australia can be at the MCG. They are absolutely capable of competing with any team in the world. The issue for them has been doing it consistently and doing it over 80 minutes, as we saw in Melbourne. So let me know, comment down below, like the video as well, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.